This episode of FilmRiot is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on FilmRiot, we do some light modifying with modifiers, and also not. Welcome to FilmRiot, the show that takes mystery out of the effects and techniques of one of some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley, and today is basically day 2 of our lighting mini-series / intro into basic low-budget cinematography. I say low-budget cinematography because there's a big difference between the different levels of... Actually, there's basically 4 levels of different types of cinematography, and I think people misunderstand this often. Well, 4 levels of filmmaking, really. And people misunderstand this often. I've seen many comments on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter about it. From the last episode, people were actually complaining, saying that the lights in the first half of the episode were not low budget, and that they couldn't afford it. So, to try to sidestep any confusion here, I want to detail the difference.
Clarify!
First, you have big budget movies. This is the Hollywood level stuff that 99% of the world just dreams of being a part of. They have all the tools and goodies that your little heart could possibly desire and more. Next, you have the average budget films. This is still in the millions, sometimes the high hundreds of thousands, and still has most of the goodies the rest of us just dream of. Now we move down to low budget. Now, low budget is a wide gamut of things. I mean, in the real world, low budget means anything, from 10 million and under. But in our world, it can mean anything from a couple $100,000 to just $2,000 for me in my last short film. But it does have a budget, thus low budget. And I think that is where the confusion is coming in. Low budget implies that there is some kind of a budget in place to get the bare minimum for your film. No budget means you just have to use what's available to you right now or within a few $100s. So just like last week, I'm going to show some low budget lighting and tips, and then we're going to do some no budget light stuff. I hope that made sense and cleared everything up like Clearasil. You know what I'm saying? That's a joke.
It was funny.
It's a little joke. The first thing we're going to do is see what kind of look you get from different sorts of lights. Starting with my FilmRiot LED light panel, which, as you can see, my image is very blue. This is because my LED panel is daylight balanced at 5600 Kelvin, and my camera's white balance is right now set to tungsten. So the resulting effect is a blue saturated image. To fix this, I'm going to change my white balance to daylight, and huzzah! I find my LED panels have an effect that is a mixture between my open face lights, my softbox, and the fluorescent. It's softer than an open face light, but not as soft as my softbox, and then has a bit of a quality on the skin that you usually get from like a fluorescent, which I really dig. Speaking of 1Ks, here is my open face 1K, which, as you can see, we now have a very reddish orange image. This is because we're still set to daylight white balance in the camera, and my low 1K is a tungsten balanced light at 3200 Kelvin, which Kelvin is color temperature. The 1K is my most harsh light. Right now I have it fully flooded, so it's not on its most harsh setting, but you can already see that the shadows and the highlight areas are a bit more contrasty than the last light. Now I will spot my light to both torture Josh a little bit, and so you can see how much more power this bad boy can put out when it is spotted. And that is because it is focusing all its light into a much more directional beam. And I will adjust exposure in the camera now so you can see how harsh this light can be even when exposed properly. It's great for setting very tense atmospheres, and you get a really nice high contrast out of it. Moving on, we have my fluorescent light, which is also a flow light. This one is very soft and has a bit of green in it with the bulb I'm currently using, which I like. I really dig the effect that you get on the skin from fluorescent lights. I actually used a fluorescent strip light from Home Depot in the garage shot of Tell. I wanted to give Taylor a very cold and disconnected look in that scene, and the Kino was really perfect for that. Now let's move on again to my softest light, which of course is the softbox. With this lovely fella, you get great light wrap, which is light wrapping more around your actor's face for softer contrast. It also makes the skin seem softer, as you can see. It is also a lot more kind to imperfections on your actor's face and hides grease or sweating that your actor may be doing a bit better as well. As you can see, the shiny spots are a lot less noticeable here than they are with the 1K. This is why Using something like a softbox is great when trying to get a beauty shot from a pretty actress or whatever. So those are the basic looks and differences you're gonna get from some of these more professional lights, and by knowing the quality of light that you're gonna get from each one of these lamps, you're gonna be able to better choose the right tool for the job. I get asked a lot, what is my favorite light? And I mean, I do have some that I use more often than others, but they're all important since each one does something totally different than the other one, which it may seem like a subtle difference, but trust me, once you get into post, you're gonna find out that these are very important differences, and understanding them will be the difference between good lighting and great lighting. A good example of this would be the slight color difference between my softbox and my fluorescent light. When we put them side by side, you can really see how much more green there is in the fluorescent than there is in the softbox. So mixing these two will have some very specific effects. So know what you have before you go into production. We're doing something a little bit different here with our ad this week, something a little more fun. If you remember back a few episodes ago, we did a skydiving ad. Well, I thought it would be fun to now show you this ad without any visual effects on it at all. The first reason is because it looks hilarious, and the second is because I want you guys to download this video from YouTube and put your own effect on the ad. Then once you do, upload your version of the ad to YouTube and make it a video response to this video. In 2 weeks, I'm going to pick the best one, and we will show it on the show. As an added bonus, since there are no more scripts, I thought it would be cool also just to give one more script away. So whoever's video I pick to show on the show will also get a free signed copy of the tell script. So download the episode, grab the ad from it, put your own effects onto the ad, upload it back to YouTube, and make it a video response here. I cannot wait to see what you guys are going to come up with. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. But now, here is that ad with no visual effects whatsoever.
Yeah, that's great, Jerry. Now all we need is a domain name and web hosting. No. Yeah, I agree. We definitely need something good. Hey, listen, J-Bear, I gotta jump. Yeah, I'll call you when I hit the ground. All right.
I'm like an untalented bird!
Hey, guy! You don't have a parachute!
Oh yeah! Don't worry about that! Like I was saying, I overheard you saying that you need a new domain name and web hosting! It sounds to me like you need domain.com!
Okay! Hey, man! Listen, you're gonna die! We have to think quick!
With domain.com, you can get a new domain name and web hosting without the hassle! How would you like a new domain discovery system to help you pick the right name for your business?
That sounds great, actually!
Well, domain.com has just that. You put your name in, and if it isn't available, domain.com will give you buttloads of options so you can pick the right one.
Wow! It's like a digital domain name expert!
Exactly! And if you want 50% off your new domain name and web hosting, just put in the promo code FilmRiot at checkout.
Domain.com is amazing!
It's like a parachute.
Not using domain.com must be like not having a parachute! Scary and doomed!
I wouldn't know!
What?
Logo. So light modifiers are anything that will change the light you were getting from any of your lamps. Some of the more standard modifiers are ND, which looks like sunglasses in the form of a sheet. If you need to stop down the intensity of your light and you don't want to make it softer, this is what you would use. Just place it in front of the light and there you go, insta-dim. Now you could just dim the light from a dimmer, which you could do a homemade dimmer, which we showed how to make in this episode here. But the problem with dimming most lights is that you're going to change the color temperature of the light to be a bit warmer, which if that's what you're going for, great, but if not, ND. Next are some more gels, which these two are CTO, which stands for color temperature orange, and CTB, which stands for color temperature blue. You can use these just to add some blue or orange color into your scene, but what I find myself using them for the most is balancing my light to the correct color temperature for my room. For instance, I have my LED light which is daylight balanced, and as we saw before, if I'm using indoor lighting, all tungsten lighting, and my white balance is set to tungsten, this light will be very, very blue. To balance this out, I will add CTO to my light, and there you go. It warms up the lamp so I can now fit it into the scene. And the same is true for a tungsten lamp. If you want to use it daylight balanced, just throw some CTB on it, and there you go. Finally, for the gels, we have diffusion. This one works like a diffusion panel on the front of my softbox. So if I have, say, my 1K on the actor, and I just want to soften that light up, I'll throw the diffusion on, and there you go. Now, of course, that was a simplification of all the gels. There are tons of different types of gels in all sorts of colors. And I mean, even within something like the CTB, you have quarter blue, half blue, and full blue, different levels of blue, which is the same for CTO. And both diffusion and ND have several different selections within their family too, but that is their basic use. Next, we have something that comes right on the light itself, barn doors. I freaking hate when a light doesn't have them. They are easily the modifier I use the most. You can use it for practical things like flagging off of walls or other actors, but you can also use it creatively for different effects, like pinching the top and bottom of the doors together to create a strip of light across your actor's face. However you use it, it is delightful. Next is black wrap, which is basically non-reflective black tinfoil. The stuff is really useful and a must for any filmmaker toolkit, and it's not expensive at all, so there's really no reason not to get yourself a package of them. One of the main things I use it for is to kill light spill, which is any light that is spilling out of the sides or cracks of your lamp and it's visible in the scene and is unwanted. All you do is take a piece of black wrap and wrap it around the offending area, and ta-da! No more spill. I will often also use it as a makeshift barn door for lights that don't have them. For instance, my can lights. You can just get a long piece of black wrap it all the way around the light, and then use that to shape your light coming out of the can light. And speaking of can lights, let's get into the no budget stuff, shall we? The first thing I'm going to show you with the can light is the big soft white bulb we showed last week, which has a very nice warm tone to it, as you can see, and it's a bit softer than an open face light. And then we have the other big daddy from last week, which is the open face version. As you can see, this bulb is much warmer than the last, and if you see as I move it around, you can actually see little designs in the light, little artifacts. So a good way to clear something like this up if you're getting unwanted designs in your light is just take some diffusion and put it in front of your light. It's going to break all that light up and smooth it out, and as you can see now with the diffusion in front of it, moving it around again, you're not getting any of that weirdness. But like I said, the second bulb is much warmer than the first, so if you have your can lights and no gels, by getting different bulbs you can still get great effects. For instance, you could put the warmer light behind your actor as a backlight, and then the other one as your key light, and now you have a bit more of an orange tone in the back than you do in the front, and you are now creating some pretty nice color contrast. So even without gels, you could still get creative and get some great lighting.
Logo.
But there you go, a basic intro into the type of light that you can get out of these and some great lighting modifiers. Now next week we're going to be putting all of this to use and creating some lighting setups of our own. But until then, you can follow me on Twitter if you do the Twitter thing right here. And actually, this is a bit off topic, but we just put up the new episode of our show Variant, which this episode is all about The Walking Dead, and it is a whole lot of fun. So if you dig the comics or The Walking Dead TV show, definitely check it out. I'm really loving this show so far. But that's it, kids. I'll see you next time when I basically make a CGI version of Pocahontas.